Some people think Sakamoto is a total loser, but to most, he's the coolest, most popular guy in school. He does everything effortlessly, whether it's schoolwork, lunch, or even punishments, making all the girls swoon. However, a group of troublemakers, Atsushi, Mario, and Ken, are jealous of how Sakamoto is always so calm and perfect. These guys come up with a plan to embarrass Sakamoto by putting a dirty chalkboard eraser above a door. But when Sakamoto walks in, he catches it mid-air like a pro, greeting everyone as if nothing happened, driving the girls even crazier and leaving the pranksters embarrassed. Next, they follow Sakamoto to the bathroom and throw water into his stall, thinking they've soaked him. But of course, Sakamoto is ready. He steps out with an umbrella, leaving them dumbfounded. They even throw his desk out the window, hoping he'll be stuck. But Sakamoto casually sits on the windowsill, asking the teacher to start class. The girls are even more obsessed, and the pranksters are frustrated that nothing is working. Desperate, they decide to jump him. They lure Sakamoto to the science lab and tie him up, planning to humiliate him by taking embarrassing photos. But while they're messing around, they accidentally start a fire. Panicked, they try to escape, but get trapped. Sakamoto, always calm, starts sidestepping around, making noise. Mario thinks he's trying to create a breeze to blow out the fire, so they all start copying him. A teacher hears the noise and rushes in to put out the fire, leaving the troublemakers confused but safe. Sakamoto covers for them, lying that he was just teaching them how to use an alcohol lamp, impressing the teacher. Even after all that, Atsushi admits Sakamoto's just too cool, and they all agree. The next day, as Sakamoto walks to school with an umbrella, he rescues a bird caught in a windstorm, showing off his heroism once again, just in time to make the front page of the school newspaper. Kubota explains that his mom fell in love with Sakamoto 2 weeks ago. The story began when Sakamoto aced his exams while Kubota struggled. Kubota asked Sakamoto for help with his studies, and Sakamoto agreed. When they went to Kubota's house for tutoring, his mom, Shi, instantly fell for Sakamoto. To avoid her advances, they decided that Sakamoto would hide whenever she came around. In the present, Sakamoto is still tutoring Kubota, this time in chemistry. Kubota forgets his book at school, so he rushes back to get it, leaving Sakamoto a cell phone for emergencies. While Kubota's gone, Shai realizes Sakamoto is in the house and starts searching for him. Sakamoto, using his clever hiding skills, finds the most unusual spots to stay hidden. Just when she's about to give up, Kubota calls Sakamoto, accidentally revealing his hiding place. Shai rushes to find him, but Sakamoto slips away just in time. She follows his footprints outside, but Sakamoto tricks her into thinking he left using a makeshift rope. Defeated, Shai sits down to watch a movie where the actor looks like Sakamoto, continuing her unrequited love story. Later, Kubota arrives, comforting his teary-eyed mom. From then on, Sakamoto only tutors Kubota in the library. Even though Shai still longs for Sakamoto, her love story remains bittersweet. On a different day, the gym teacher Kakuta stands by the school gate, determined to trap Sakamoto and make him late for school. Sakamoto always arrives at the last second, and this time, Kakuta's ready to slam the gate shut. However, Sakamoto shows up with a bamboo pole, making Kakuta worry that he might jump over the gate. But instead of using the pole, Sakamoto slips through the barely open gate just in time, even joking that he decorated the entrance with bamboo to make it look less boring. This frustrates Kakuta, who's now even more determined to catch Sakamoto breaking the rules. Kakuta follows Sakamoto around, hoping to find him misbehaving. But instead, he finds Sakamoto playing with bubbles and cleaning ceiling dust with a broom in creative ways. Despite his efforts, Kakuta can't catch Sakamoto doing anything wrong. During a personal education class, Kakuta gets nervous as the students behave perfectly. Sakamoto, meanwhile, cooks food during the class. Kakuta waits for the moment when Sakamoto tastes the food so he can scold him. When Sakamoto finally takes a bite, Kakuta seizes the chance and sends him to the hallway to think about his actions. However, when Kakuta checks on Sakamoto, he finds him feeding a sick sparrow with the rice, realizing that Sakamoto let himself get in trouble just to help the bird. Moved by this, Kakuta returns to class, teary-eyed. The next day, Kakuta is back at the gate, determined not to let Sakamoto slip through again. But once more, Sakamoto surprises him by sliding under the closing gate just before it shuts. This infuriates Kakuta, who yells at Sakamoto to stop sliding and get to class. In art class, the students are asked to pair up and draw each other's faces. All the girls want to be Sakamoto's partner, but Anna gets to him first. She's thrilled, thinking Sakamoto sees her as beautiful. When he finishes the drawing, Anna is disappointed at first, thinking he drew her as a wild orangutan. But after looking closer, she realizes he actually drew her as an angel. Overjoyed, Anna hugs the drawing while the other girls clamor for Sakamoto to draw them too. In another part of the story, a fire alarm goes off, and there's a report of a fire in the chemistry classroom. Sakamoto, ever the leader, uses his whistle to guide his classmates out of the building. Once outside, they realize Sashi is missing, likely stuck in the bathroom. Sakamoto rushes back inside to rescue him, soaking himself with water and tying a handkerchief over his face for protection. He finds Sashi and lowers him safely out of a window with a rope. Sakamoto then dramatically jumps out of the window using a makeshift parachute, landing safely to the relief of his classmates. Later during summer vacation, Atsushi, Mario, and Ken set a trap to catch Sakamoto. When they finally catch him, they realize he wasn't actually in the trap but somehow escaped, leaving the boys puzzled. Despite their efforts to track him down, Sakamoto remains elusive, performing incredible feats like sliding up stairways and trying out food samples at a grocery store as if at a buffet. Eventually, the boys give up their search, realizing Sakamoto is always one step ahead, living his life with effortless coolness. Sakamoto's adventures continue, including a showdown with the school's tough guy Hayabusa, a game of sumo wrestling with a police officer as a referee, and helping his classmates in surprising ways, always maintaining his calm, collected persona. Even when faced with challenges, Sakamoto's unique skills and kindness make him someone everyone looks up to. The story ends with Sakamoto continuing to surprise and impress those around him, including winning over even his biggest rivals with his charm and quick thinking. Sakamoto is at a store, and the boss starts asking him tons of questions, trying to figure him out. Sakamoto stays calm the whole time. At one point, he shows the boss a watch he drew on his wrist, making the boss think it's a fancy watch. Sakamoto then says he has a client waiting for him, leaving the boss confused about whether Sakamoto is a student or a businessman. In the end, the boss lets Sakamoto rent the movie. Sakamoto and his friend Atsushi are thrilled. Later, Atsushi invites Sakamoto to his place to watch an adult movie, but Sakamoto declines, saying it's getting late. This makes the boys rethink their plan, and they decide to return all the movies. Back at school, it's time for the Gakuin Preparatory Sports event, and the boys in class are confident they'll win, relying on Sakamoto's skills. However, one of their classmates, C, interrupts and points out that the event is also a chance to impress girls from other classes. He asks the boys if they want to live in Sakamoto's shadow forever. The boys admit they can't beat Sakamoto in any sport on their own, so C suggests they team up to make Sakamoto lose and call it a class revolution. The first event is a bread-eating race. The boys try to sabotage Sakamoto by tying his bread tightly so he can't grab it easily with his mouth. The race starts, and Sakamoto is in the lead but gets stuck trying to bring down the bread. To everyone's surprise, he uses a move called the death roll, something their teacher saw a crocodile do in the Amazon, to get the bread down. Sakamoto still finishes first, but he notices the other contestants struggling, so he goes back to help them, sharing his bread. This impresses everyone, even the moms watching, who wish he could be their son-in-law. C, on the other hand, is not happy. Next up is the boys' group gymnastics. Sakamoto has to climb to the top of a human tower while the boys form the base, but they plan to throw him off balance. To everyone's surprise, Sakamoto stays perfectly balanced, and they end up forming a tower that looks like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, which excites the girls and makes C even more frustrated. The final event is the relay race. When Sakamoto gets the baton, he starts running but suddenly trips because C tied his shoelaces together. Sakamoto quickly adjusts, running with the baton in his mouth like a cheetah and taking the lead. But when he hands the baton to his teammate Yagi, it slips due to his drool, causing them to fall behind. The other classmates start blaming Yagi, but she keeps going. C decides to give up on the race, but when he sees Yagi crying and trying her best, He joins in, running while accidentally showing his stomach, which makes the girls laugh. During lunch, Yagi apologizes to the girls for dropping the baton, but they don't blame her. Instead, they criticize C for embarrassing the class by stripping on the track. C sits alone, eating lunch under a tree, upset by the insults. Sakamoto, who is sitting in the tree, surprises him by calling him a hero before leaving. Yagi also tells C he's cooler than she thought, lifting his spirits. Sakamoto turns the situation with the snails into a fun challenge. He jokes that the snails are daring Hayabusa to eat them, so Hayabusa takes the challenge seriously and eats them during dessert. When the chef asks how the meal was, Hayabusa's dad and his partner tell him to respond in French. Not knowing what to say, Hayabusa tries different words, but Sakamoto saves the day by writing "excellent" on his plate. After dinner, Hayabusa says goodbye to his dad. The woman asks him to talk privately. While heading home, Hayabusa talks to Sakamoto about the woman possibly becoming their mom. He admits he still has a lot to learn. They get lost since they aren't familiar with the area. As they keep walking, they run into some thugs planning to harm Hayabusa's father and the woman. Sakamoto warns that if Hayabusa fights, the woman will figure out that he's not just an ordinary guy, exposing their lie. So, they decide to switch roles. Sakamoto faces the thugs, while Hayabusa takes them down secretly. When Hayabusa's dad hides behind Sakamoto, he admits that the woman is trying to extort him, and that the whole dinner was a setup by Hayabusa's older brother to protect their family. One thug tries to hit Sakamoto from behind with a pole, but Hayabusa blocks it, hurting himself in the process. As snow starts to fall, Sakamoto tells a story about a boy who loved his family so much that he tried French food, which made his body mutate because he didn't have the right antibodies. They trick the thugs into thinking Hayabusa now has 4 arms, scaring them off. Amid the chaos, Hayabusa's father faints. Hayabusa ends up carrying his father all the way home, reflecting on how crazy things got in the city. Meanwhile, something special is happening. It's the first snowfall in years. Sakamoto and his friend Kubota are on their way to school. Kubota complains about the cold, but Sakamoto in his regular clothes is unfazed. He tells Kubota he's never seen snow before, surprising him. At school, their friend Atsushi makes a snow rabbit, and everyone is impressed. Atsushi offers to teach Sakamoto how to play in the snow since it's his first time. Atsushi's first lesson is making snow shapes by lying in the snow. Sakamoto doesn't see the point, but Atsushi tells him there's no real reason. It's just fun. When it's Sakamoto's turn, instead of lying down randomly, he falls right into Atsushi's snow shape. The result looks so artistic that it reminds one of their friends, Mario, of a drawing by Leonardo da Vinci. Sakamoto agrees, saying it looks like something from a medical textbook. Later, Atsushi teaches Sakamoto how to build a snowman. When it seems unstable, Sakamoto adds more snowballs, despite Atsushi saying not to. The snowman ends up taller with 9 snowballs, and their friends love it. Feeling outdone, Atsushi gets upset, but a girl named Fuck encourages him to challenge Sakamoto to a snowball fight. Atsushi accepts the challenge and declares that whoever gets hit by a snowball first loses. Confident he'll win, Atsushi starts throwing snowballs, but Sakamoto dodges every single one. When Sakamoto throws snowballs back, he's so fast, it's like a machine gun. Atsushi hides, trying to wait out Sakamoto's supply of snowballs, but the cold starts bothering him, unlike Sakamoto, who seems fine. Sakamoto throws something wrapped in snow at Atsushi, who panics, thinking it's a bomb. He tries a surprise attack, but Sakamoto hits him with a snowball, winning the game. Atsushi is confused but feels warm inside. It turns out Sakamoto had placed hand warmers inside his snowballs, which kept him from getting cold. Feeling defeated, Atsushi goes home alone, crying because to him, the duel wasn't real to Sakamoto. The next day, as the snow melts, Sakamoto builds a new home for the birds. Megumi, one of their friends, plans to showcase photos from the past year, including a stunning photo of Sakamoto that impresses the girls. Atsushi, meanwhile, avoids his friends, upset that he feels overshadowed by Sakamoto. He even burns a picture from a beach trip where he tried to prove himself. Eventually, graduation day arrives, and everyone is excited, but Atsushi shows up with a bat, ready to cause trouble during Sakamoto's farewell speech. Though others try to stop him, Atsushi angrily swings the bat at Sakamoto, but Sakamoto stays calm and dodges each swing. At one point, Atsushi nearly falls, but Sakamoto saves him just in time. Atsushi breaks down, accusing Sakamoto of pretending to care. Sakamoto, however, reassures him, telling Atsushi to believe in himself. Despite his hands bleeding, Sakamoto lowers Atsushi safely to the ground, finishing his speech. Everyone claps, moved by the scene. In the end, Sakamoto reveals he's leaving for a special program at an aerospace agency overseas. But before he goes, his classmates try to embarrass him by throwing pies at him. He skillfully dodges them, saying goodbye as they call him a great friend. It almost makes him tear up, but he holds it together,